Oh dear. Our band of merry retirees are back once again. And this time the government aren't actually out to kill them. No, it's just multiple governments this time. Oh yes, our retired and extremely dangerous operatives were targeted this time because Frank and Marvin's names were listed on a leaked top secret operation codenamed Nightshade. Long story short, it's a portable nuclear device, and plenty of governments want to get their hands on it so they could control the new age of nuclear power. Now, with that said, most of our core cast from the first instalment all make their grand return. Helen Mirren's Victoria and Brian Cox's Ivan are back, along with some well-chosen additions. We'll speak more about Antony Hopkins' Dr. Bailey a little later, but Byung-Hun Lee's contract killer Han was one of the more impressive outcomes, considering he is surrounded by the calibre of talent that he is. I've not seen him in anything before, I must say, but he was one that definitely stood out for me, and his past dealings with Frank add a little more intrigue to a guy given a contract to kill our lead character. Bruce Willis, of course, is back for the sequel, along with his lady love Sarah, Mary-Louise Parker. However, you guessed it, my hopeful return was here, but damn it, they tried to scare me there at the beginning. The outrage that would have ensued if John Malkovich was killed off at the start would not be able to be contained. I was with Frank at that church scene, he had to be faking it, right? But after giving me a little scare, I was oh so thankful to see Marvin return just in the nick of time. Their chemistry together again is one of these film's strongest aspects, and Marvin giving Frank some advice on his love life could not have been done any better between these two. They are a delight, funny as ever when on screen together, and now you can probably add Sarah into that mix as she joined in with the multiple life-threatening plans. She really does love a good thrill, doesn't she? And poor Frank has to try and weather Marvin's advice and her insistence to come along and running headfirst into danger. I sympathise with him, but I'll be damned if it wasn't funny. I said in my first review, finding that balance with comedy and action isn't an easy thing to do. It achieved it in the first film, which meant it would be even harder this time around, but once more the film delivers and had me laughing on multiple occasions. Not as many as the first, I must say, but the balance was right and the laughs were plentiful. So, as our group are being hunted by various governments like we had the Russians, MI6, the Americans I think, the Iranian embassy, you name it, everyone wanting to get their hands on something which Marvin and Frank knew practically nothing about. This Project Nightshade was created by someone presumed dead for over 30 years, but actually, MI6 just incarcerated the guy deep within a secure alpha-level facility, and after faking his death all this time, the knowledge about this mystery Project Nightshade was buried deep in this man's head. Dr. Bailey aired a very Hannibal Lecter-y vibe about him, which I feel was very intentional on Antony Hopkins' part. It may be unfair to mention that or compare it against his most iconic role in his career, but you just always felt there was never something quite right with him. I know being held where he was for 30 years was bound to mess him up, but once he revealed his true nature, it wasn't exactly a surprising reveal. He trumps Neil McDonough's bad guy easily though, who more than anything seemed to be quite incompetent at his job. He was wiped off the map almost completely and was masterminded around without too much difficulty by the vastly superior Dr. Bailey. Bailey kept him alive just to show him his master plan, and then actually delivered on his promise and killed him. Fair play, you might expect a little breakout or a fight of sorts between them, but nope, it didn't come, and his villain paled in comparison to Sir Antony Hopkins's. It was an area that I felt the original needed to improve upon, and the writers clearly felt that too, since given who they cast to portray their villain this time, it's a fair bet to say the effort was certainly most appreciated.
I didn't see that one coming.
My overall verdict for Red 2 is a 7 out of 10. Now, that of course is a lower score than I gave the first film, and where this film does continue to get plenty right, I just enjoyed the first film's story more than I did this one. I suppose this felt a little like save the worldy like other action films tend to do. Don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with that idea, but coming off the initial Red story where the CIA were trying to knock off dangerous retirees, it just wasn't as engaging as the first film. Like I said though, plenty of laughs are still to be found. The humour to me is this series' strongest aspect, with John Malkovich being way ahead of the pack in terms of the laughs he gave me. Don't underestimate Willis though. He may quite rightly be presumed to be a full-blown action star because, let's face it, he is an icon in the genre, but he delivers another charming and assured performance as our lead, which only serves to help everyone there around him. To be honest, I was just very glad they got most of the cast back together. It can't be easy trying to coordinate the array of talent they have at their disposal, so to get most, if not all of them back for round 2 was something I at least definitely deem praiseworthy. Villains-wise, they swerved us at first, with many of us, including me, assuming the bad guy throughout prize would go to Neil McDonough, but Antony Hopkins, once arriving, easily swooped that away from his grasp. Poor guy, McDonough here I'm meaning. Every time I see him, he's always played the bad guy. Sorry dude, but even though you do have a face befitting that of a good bad guy, Hopkins is one of the true masters of his craft. Actually, I've nearly forgotten to mention a character who I haven't mentioned thus far, and that is Catherine Zeta-Jones' Russian officer Katya. Thrown in purposely to add a spanner into Frank and Sarah's travels, she was alright I suppose, just not really good either. Her addition did give us a few funny moments between our main couple, just not really just her. The scenes in and under the Kremlin were pretty suspenseful since knowing one wrong move could prove disastrous for all our team, but still she was fairly forgettable and I didn't particularly care for her when she got gunned down. All in all, it's a pretty good sequel. Not as good overall as the original, but it made some much needed improvements, especially in the villain department, as well as developing our main characters further without faltering in giving us plenty of laughs. So what do you all think of Red 2? Better or worse than the original? Do you agree with me about the improvements made in the villain department? And what was your favourite scene in the film? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. And as always, thank you very much for watching. Please leave a like, comment and subscribe if you enjoyed the review. And I'll see you on the next one.
Han just went #1.
Why don't they just dip our balls in honey and stake us to an ant farm?